everybody, welcome to KF&JF podcast, man. We're back here today with a update on some good information, man, for all of us to learn out there, educate ourselves around finance and around making that money work and turning it around in our lives. You know what I mean? So I have a guest on our show. You guys have seen it before. Let's get him back in and talk about this and help us all out in understanding the financialness of the world and try to get some stuff going, man, because there's a lot that we don't know. We get ready to learn. Let me kick it over to Razak right now. Hey, Razak, what's happening, man?
Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm just glad to be able to be a part of this, and I thank this gentleman for coming in and sharing his knowledge and his expertise. And I can't wait to get into it. I'm ready. It's a learning time, and I feel that it's going to be very beneficial to building a legacy and getting myself a financial stability and a foundation.
All right, man. Let's fire up this doggone change box and turn it into some green, man, because my change is not, it ain't doing nothing for me. Generational wealth coming up. Here we go.
Hey,
Here's this man. Talk to us.
That's it. I'm solo from Bushmade. I do the barbecue sauce. I do the clothes. I'm me. But I'd like to share with y'all today a little bit of financial literacy. We'll start at like composition of a dollar. Like I try and tell anyone, getting into the stock market is super easy, man. There's so many of us that are scared of the stock market because people use big terms and scare us out of it. But at some point, you have to stop being a consumer reaping no benefits of consumption. If you're trying to figure out how to start or where to start in the stock market, most people don't realize that the stock market already. Like, think about it. Composition of a dollar, right? It's 100 pennies. It's 4 quarters, 20 nickels, 10 dimes. Stock market's the same way. Your goal is to own 100 shares. The reason you want to own 100 shares is because the amount of shares that you own, that's your multiplier. It's basic algebra. If you own 1 share and the stock moves a penny, you made a penny. But if you own 100 shares and the stock moves $1, imagine what you just made. So I try and teach my buddies and those close to me that, man, if you're working for every dollar that you make or touch, you're working too hard. Make your money work for you. Get you some type of residual income. So I'm just here today to share with y'all a couple ways that I generate money on the back end other than selling barbecue sauce, selling merch, and, going to work. So I make sure my money works for me. I'm the type of person, I'm a firm believer in everything's got to work. You walk around your house and you ask yourself, why does everything have to work? I want you to really truthfully think about it. If you go to sit on your couch and one of the 4 legs fails and your ass hits the ground, that couch ain't working. It's got to go, right? You open the fridge, you grab some cold milk, and that milk ain't cold. That fridge got to go. You flip that switch and the lights don't come on, something ain't working. So in our life, sometimes we have to address the things that aren't working. So I got a couple examples I want to share with you. Let me see. I'm going to share one of my favorites. Let me go to this screen sharing thing real quick. All right. This is one of my favorites, one of my absolute favorites. This is PSEC. So PSEC is Prospect Capital Corporation Common Stock, and it's a dividend stock. So what I got on the screen, if you can see over here. So this is a dividend stock. The thing I like about this dividend stock, it pays monthly dividends. So that means your money is making money every month, end of the month. So this is something simple to look at. The current price of the stock is $5.49 right now. Each share that you own pays you 6 cents a month. Where does any of your money make 6 cents a month? and the annual is 72 cents a year for one share. $5 and almost 50 cents, $5.49. I currently have 456 shares. So that makes me $27.36 a month. And I haven't invested in this stock in a minute, but I use DRIP, which is dividend reinvestment program. So once you own enough shares to where your dividends, I don't need $27.36 a month. And that's just currently, because at the end of the month, more shares will be purchased with my dividends. But if you follow me, right now, my DRIP is on, which is dividend reinvestment program. That means any money made is just reinvested into the shares. So it grows without me even putting money into it. So my dividend reinvestment program right now, my DRIP is currently generating $27.36 each month. So my DRIP return next month, you figure you take the current stock price, $5.50 almost, and divide it into 27.36, which is the amount of money I'll be making. And it tells me I'll get 4.98 shares next month. So it's almost 5 shares. So you take that 4.98, we'll round it up to 5, multiply it by the amount of months in the year, that gives you 12. That's 60 shares a year that I get, and I haven't spent a dime. People think that, stocks is like a constant kid that you have to feed all the time, every month. Some months, hey, if you ain't got it, don't feed it. But what you do to get to that point, you look at, if like this is a monthly dividend stock, so it's going to pay you monthly. So if you're looking at what chunk of money do I need to get into, say, PSEC, me personally, what I do, I look at what I take the dividend, what it's going to pay monthly, because on this particular stock, it's so cheap that that if I could get a share or two monthly, all you do is figure out how many of those 6 cents is going to equal, say, the current share price is $5.49. So that 6 cents, you got to multiply it to figure out, you got to solve for how many shares you need to own to purchase stock at the current price, which is $5.49. What I always do, I shoot 50 cents up. So if the stock is $6 and you're getting 6 cents a share, just do the math and figure out how many shares you need to own. And that'll give you a good jump off point to jump in and say, hey, at least I'm getting a stock a month or half a share or whatever your money's working like, but that little $27.36 seems like nothing. But when you're building your portfolio, what I like to do, I love a portfolio rich in dividend stocks, whether it pays monthly, quarterly, twice a year, biannually. Those are the type of stocks that I like to put into my portfolio. So if you got a stock generating $27.36 a month, and then you have another stock that's, say, bringing you in $50 a month, if something happens in your life and you decide, man, where am I going to get this money from? I don't want to tap my 401k. I don't want to hit my Roth IRA or whatever other little stashes you have. You can actually go in and turn your DRIP off. And remember, in the beginning, I said the DRIP is dividend reinvestment program. So what that means, when you turn your DRIP off, that just means you don't want to reinvest your dividends. So that money will sit in your brokerage account. I always recommend to people, if you're trying to get into stocks, if you want to get into stocks, Robinhood is great. The reason Robinhood is great is because you can either buy stocks as far as a whole share, or you can buy stocks as far as a dollar amount. If you only got, say, $20 and the stock is $5.49, well, Robinhood will actually let you buy that 3.88 whatever amount of shares. So that's something that's like really important to me, being able to purchase like shares that generate income. Doesn't matter the amount of income. So another one that I own, let me see, let me go to the next slide. Another one that I own is Ford. You couldn't pay me to drive a Ford, but you gotta look at their dividends. They, you're talking about an annual dividend of 60 cents. Their dividends are paid quarterly, so it's 15 cents a quarter per share. Their current price is $13.98. My current position, I own 123 shares, and it's crazy because I only bought 100 shares a couple years back during COVID when they was like $10 a share, $8 a share. Currently, I own 123.625. So we'll say almost 123 and a half, a pinch over a half of a share. But because of the stock price, my drip currently generates $18.02 a quarter, which is cool. So my drip returns 1.2889. I didn't put the whole number in the presentation, but I'm getting a little under about 1.25 shares a month. So you figure, not a month, quarterly. So you figure 1.25 shares 4 times a year. That's 5 shares annually that your stock is just growing. Let me see. So this is an example of I just copied some stuff from where I don't know, one day I had like $30 or something. So I just threw it at my brokerage account as far as my my Robinhood, because I like to grow my portfolio in Robinhood, then move it over to my Charles Schwab. So as of July 8th, like I said, I had $30. So I grabbed 2 shares at $13 and a penny a piece. Cost me $26.02 to own 2 shares of Ford, which is cool. If you look right here, June 3rd, right? So you'll see where it says dividend from Ford. That's them paying me. You follow this right here, dividend from Ford, right? And you look over here where it says reinvested. That's because my drip was on. So my dividend reinvestment program, Ford instantly, when they paid me, they took my reinvested money and they purchased me shares on the 3rd. So the shares they purchased, regardless of what the price was, because I own shares in Ford, they ended up giving me 1.488, almost a share and a half at $12.11 a share. So if you look here, same thing in March, that quarter. And the main reason I captured this screenshot was because this snapshot is because it's a moment in time, right? Where you see right here in March, right? My dividend, my return from Ford was $17.57. That return based on Ford's price at the time, which was $12.85, but that $17.57 got me 1.367 shares at $12.87. So I was able to increase my position and ownership in Ford by just over a quarter of a share, which is great, because the way I've been working lately and I'm trying to put money into other things, I forgot about this. I like when I can look around and just log into things and it's money coming in. This is just money coming in. It's $18. It went from $17.57, and you could see the growth. $17.57, and you can also see the actual price change of the stock. So right here, I bought the stock when it was when they reinvested the shares was at $12.85. That's cool. I got a little less. The shares pulled back, but you notice right here, because I have more shares, my dividend increased regardless of the share price. My dividend increased. So the Ford stock pulled back to 12.11, which some people would panic and think, oh, that's a bad thing. The shares went down. For who? Follow the math right here. When the share was a little higher, I got less. When the share came down to 12.11, I got more. So I'm able to increase my position, and I have an understanding that as the stock price fluctuates, it really doesn't scare me. It really doesn't scare me. It actually makes me happy when it pulls back a little bit, especially around dividend time. When that stock pulls back around dividend time, that's when you're like, yeah, buddy, that's good for me, because that makes your little dividend work harder and go further. And you look up here, I don't know, like I said, one day I had $30, so I threw it on my Robinhood, because what I'd like to do is move my Ford over once. I usually like to move every 100 over to my Scott trade, but what I'm trying to do over here, I'm just growing it, because when you get to the more professional platforms like Scott Trade, Ameritrade, things like that, you're required to purchase whole shares. So the reason I recommend Robinhood, and there's a couple other like beginner programs, but the reason I recommend Robinhood is because you can buy fractional shares. You're not required to purchase a whole share. So by not being required to purchase a whole share, it makes it easy to get in, and then you get your little, like my little fractional shares. Like you'll see, like up here, I purchased 2 whole shares, because the price was $13.01. It cost me $26.02. But you'll see down here, anytime your dividends are paid, even whether it's Ameritrade or Charles Schwab, you will still get your fractional shares. The only thing about the more professional platforms, the big boy platforms like your Charles Schwab, you just can't purchase. You cannot purchase fractional shares. So, and the thing about Robinhood, when you transfer your shares over to Charles Schwab, you can't transfer fractional shares. So what I like to think about it, the way I like to look at it is my Robinhood account, that's my farmer. That's the grow fields. That's where I grow everything to try and reach my goal of 100 shares owned. And my storage or grocery store or warehouse is Charles Schwab, my bigger account. So, I just tell people, when you think you have nothing to invest in, just look over your account and see where you don't have 100. A little backstory: when I first started buying stocks and stuff, I had a friend, an older buddy, when I contracted in Iraq. He was talking about stocks, and people thought they just thought Mr. Jesse was crazy. And he told me one day, he's like, man, you want to know where your money goes and what you should invest in? Look in your trash can. So I was home from R&R in Iraq, and I came home and I was digging through the trash can for something, and I was like, man, it's crazy. I was actually using the bathroom. I ain't have my phone, so I'm looking at the trash can. I'm like, man, we got Dial in there, other miscellaneous stuff. And I'm like, man, I finally figured out what this dude was talking about. If you want to know where to put your money, look in your trash can. Because we are consumers of several things, but we reap no benefits. So I'm the type of person, when you break your neck to go out and stand in line and wait for hours to buy the new Jordans, I'd like knowing that people are going to do that, because I'm going to break my neck, and instead of purchasing a pair of shoes, I'm going to go and buy 2 shares of Nike. So continue to stand in those lines. I own anything that I use. If they're publicly traded and they have a ticker, I'm researching, I'm getting a share. I've always drove General Motors cars. I have a 77 Monte Carlo, a 95 Blazer, a 2012 Yukon, an 18 Silverado. I'm a GM dude, so there's no way I'm going to drive GM and make payments on GM and not own shares. That's crazy. I refuse to be a consumer reaping no benefits of consumption. So I do own shares of General Motors. The reason I own shares of Ford is because all my work vehicles, since I've been with the company I'm currently with, have always been Ford. All our fleet vehicles, for the most part, are Ford. So I figure if corporations are stocking their fleet yards with Ford, I'm going to own Ford. So every time they make that big purchase every 5 years from now and get a gang of Fords, pay me. I need my dividends to hit. Let me see. I got another slide over here I'm going to share with y'all. This slide here. So what I like to do when I'm structuring my portfolio, or I'm assisting a friend, what I like to do is utilize our friend Google. You go on Google and I pull up, and I only pulled a couple pages as of Friday, but I just Googled 2024 monthly dividend stocks, because for those people that like fast money and want to see their money make cash monthly, because some people they're quick, fast, they need to see it. You know what I'm saying? For some people, you got their attention for 30 days. So they're like, hey, if I put this $10 out here and get me, say I put $11 out there and get 2 shares of PSEC. A lot of people are like, man, I want to see if I get this 12 cent at the end of the month. Sometimes if you jump into the monthly dividend stocks, that makes people a believer, because you get that instant gratification, that quick return on your investment. Let me see. There's an example. I was explaining to one of my buddies. I didn't put it in the slide because it's one of my personal accounts, but let me log into my account real quick. So the crazy thing, I was explaining to him, he's like, man, $27 a month really isn't that really isn't much. And I explained to him, I said, you gotta think about it. There's a point where one of my accounts, like I'm about to, if I could log in, one of my accounts, the funny thing is, you're looking at these dividend yields, right? So one of my accounts back, June 30th, my account had 23,000 and some change in it. One of my accounts, right? You know what I got for the quarter? $7.05. $7.05 for the quarter. That's $23,000 sitting around not working, making $7 and a nickel. So if we do the math, right, and you say, let me see, 7.05, right? Because that's what I said, 7.05. And there's 4 quarters in a year times 4. $23,000 makes me $28.20 in interest. So you mean to tell me $23,000 making, and I'm going to take y'all back on this slide, so you figured it took me a savings of $23,000 to make $28.20, right? But this Ford makes me $18.02. We'll say $18.02 a quarter. So we'll do $18.02 times 4 quarters. That's $72.08. Now, $72.08, and let's go back and do some more math, because a lot of people don't follow the math. So let's see, Ford. I currently have 123 shares. So we'll do 123 shares, right? Do 123 shares times, we'll multiply it by the current price, $13.98. Okay, so if you follow the math on that, right? 123 shares times $13.98, that's $1,719.54. That makes me about 70 something bucks a year in dividends and residual income. That's $1,700. You follow me? $1,700 makes 70 something dollars a year. But $23,000 sitting still not being used makes me $20.80, $20-something.80.
I have a quick question.
Okay.
Okay, so if you don't have the drip on, then that means that the drip is what they're paying you back. So that 1802 would be what you would be able to access in your account
Correct.
each month.
Correct.
So I'm thinking that the ideal would be, okay, well, you got 27 here, you got 18 over here, you got 50 over here. So in a monthly time, those combined, you know, what I mean, they stack. So you're actually getting a couple hundred back if you invest in all these different areas versus saying, oh, there's only 18 over here, there's only 20 over here, and worried about that one thing. You're investing in multiple different places. That way it all stacks.
You know what you just explained? You just explained diversification, not putting all your eggs in one basket. You see what I'm saying? So that little 18 there, the little 27 there, like you said, it adds up, and that's with the drip on. So if I know I got something coming up one month, I may just cut my drip off because I just want to see all my money sit. Or because I keep everything on a spreadsheet, so I know which of my stocks pay monthly, which of them pay quarterly, which of them pay biannually. So based on that, you know, you could plan a vacation just by cutting your drip off. You see what I'm saying? You know the money's going to be there that month. You've already calculated it. So if you know you got stocks that pay monthly, and you know you got stocks that pay quarterly, and you know you got stocks that pay biannually, you have to look at when these dividend payments hit. So you know that your quarterly is always going to hit with your monthly stocks. You see what I'm saying? Now, what you don't know is if your biannual is going to hit with your quarterly. Those things you don't know. But you can look at your heavy months and say, hey, you know what? I want to do something that month because my quarterly and my monthly hit that month. That's a heavy month of, say, $3,000 worth of dividends coming in. You may even decide to let those dividends come in and take them and make a major play and buy 100 shares of something. You know, you may not want your dividends to come in and nickel and dime and grow one said stock slowly. So sometimes I'll cut the drip off, let the money hit, and I'll look at the total and I'll make a major purchase. Be like, hey, you know what? Let me grab 50 more PSEC. So like this, let me see. So this is a list I made of, this is 2024 monthly dividend stocks. And as you'll see, find my cursor, as you'll see right here, guess what? Ticker, PSEC, Prospect Capital, dividend yield. So what I do, I'll Google this 2024 monthly dividend stock chart, right? It's anywhere online. Just Google it, and it's going to give you a list. So what I usually do, I'll print out this list. Then I'll go back and I will search all these tickers, because these are the tickers right here. Ticker's just the short Wall Street name. This is the full-blown company name. This is the actual ticker, what the sign they're traded under. So what I do, I like to, it's a long list. This list has 70 something different tickers and stocks. And I didn't share all of them, but what I did, I grabbed 4 pages of them, and just to show you a couple of them. There's a bunch here, you got a bunch here, and you'll notice like this one, Cross Timbers, they're oil and gas. So when you're setting up, say you're setting up your portfolio for the first time, right? And I want you to look at this sheet that we have here. So you're setting up your portfolio for the first time. You're about to make a play. You're like, man, how do I go about this? Think about the stock market like Monopoly. when you played Monopoly growing up and you went around that board, you knew that it was like, man, I want a gas station, I want an electric company, I want an airport. Guess what? Life's the same way, man. You go on there and you look at this, like just looking at the list, you got mortgage REITs, right? So you got this ORC, and they pay a monthly dividend. So you got ORC, you Google, you check out and see what their price is like, and that'll get you in the little mortgage REIT category or sector. But if you notice, there's multiple in that category. You see what I'm saying? The dividend yield goes down as you go down the list, but you're just trying to make a play. It doesn't matter if you're buying Boardwalk, which, remember, Boardwalk, everybody used to fight over Boardwalk because it cost the most and made the most money, right? And then you had like Baltic Ave and the little cheap purples where people land on them and you get $10. Who cares? As long as you're in the game. You see what I'm saying? And these are all monthly dividend paying stocks. And you look at this one, it's in specialized finance, right? PSEC, they're in asset management. So they're in asset management. Oxford Square, they're in asset management. All I did when I was building my portfolio, I started looking. I'm like, man, you know what? I need an oil and gas. So I probably check out, CRT and see what they're looking like because they pay monthly. If for some reason I couldn't afford CRT, I would look at, so you got CRT right here, and their oil and gas. And then you also have who else over here? You got Cardinal Energy. You got Cardinal Energy right here because it tells you the industry/sector. So it's very easy to put your portfolio together. Like this right here. Fortitude.
Can I interrupt real fast? Because I got a burning question just burning in my head.
Go ahead.
Okay, so all right, so I'm looking at 16 right there where it said 16, it said 15. So those are the monthly payments that's paid back to us if you don't have the drip on. And so each month or that accumulates. So if I turn the drip off for 6 months times 1698, that'll be the stack that's inside that each one.
So look, let me so that's your yield percentage rate. I'm on Google ORC dividend history, and it's gonna pull up NASDAQ, which that's what okay. So you know what? Let me see if I can share. See if I can share this entire screen with you, and I'll talk you through some stuff live. So glad you asked that question. So ORC, do you see what their monthly dividend is? So their monthly dividend, let me see what their current stock price is. Okay, so that's not bad. $8.48 a share, right? So $8.48 a share will get you 12 cents a month. And that's at 16.98% is their dividend yield. So that annual, that if you spend $8.48 and let it sit there all year, you'll make $1.44 in dividends. Does that make sense to you?
So that's just buying one share.
One share.
And you get 12 back. That's why if you have 100 shares,
right,
at 8, so that would be what so that would be what 12 times 100. Well, that would only be what $1 or something like $1.
Let me see.
But that's how we're calculating it though.
So what you're looking at, you figure. Let me see. 8 point.
So 12. Point 12 for a year annually would be 1.44. So
Right.
the ideal is to make that cash amount, which is only for one share, is to accumulate the cash amount.
Right.
So your share. So what would that be like a? So if we was up to $1 or $2 or $3 in the cash when they on your cash return, then that annually would dramatically change.
So what I did $100. I did 100 divided by 0.12. So 100 shares would get you eight. Oh, no. Hang on. Let me see. So that 0.12 times.
Well, that should get you like you move the decimal over like $1.20, right? Or $1.
It should be $8.33. So 100. Just think about it. That 12 is like a dime. So it's what, 10 dimes in a it's 10 dimes in a dollar. So 10 dimes in a dollar. The share is $8.48. So you need at least 80 shares, right? 80 shares will get you $8. Follow me?
Right.
Okay.
So 80 shares. So if you bought 80 shares, right, that's going to generate you say 80 times 0.12. So when you're looking at it, you got 80. Delete that. Clear. Okay. So you got 80 times 0.12. That's $9.60 a month. Okay. So you know that $9.60 a month is getting you at least a share and some change. Because I always try to do the math so that if I buy in, I'll take a chunk and throw at it, just so that at least I'm getting one share a month, 12 shares a year, if I don't never spend another dollar with that company. And that's kind of how you put it on cruise control. You see what I'm saying? Because every share is going to make your money. So if you got 80 shares and we're going to use 80 like it's a fixed number when you actually can't, because each month it's going to grow because it's a monthly dividend paying you. So we're going to use 80 shares and we're going to say you're making $9.60 a month. You multiply that $9.60 a month times 12, that's $115.20 that you're making off your little 80 shares. But you're breaking it into months because you're getting paid monthly. But that's how you grow your portfolio. As simple as that. Like let's grab another one off the list. Let me see if
so the ideal is roughly to so say we got this list that we're looking at, the 2024 monthly list. So
right.
I'm looking at 16, 15, 14. So we would put in at least 10 of those guys that's on the top and
yes, sir.
put some shares in there, because we're not thinking of, okay, well, this is about the, if it blows up or goes up and down. But the thing is to invest.
These are strictly being purchased for residual income. So you look at like this one right here was high on the list, right? And it's the annual dividend for one share. So you got $8.44 making $8.48 making $1.44 a year. You mean to tell me you know somewhere you could put $10 under your pillow? Not even $10, and it's gonna generate 12 cents a month sitting there, like, so that stock I shared earlier, PSEC, right? So we go to PSEC, they're 549, right? So you go 549, and what we want to look at is the dividend history. You see how the annual is 72 cents a year? So think about it. Common sense. You spend $3 more, right? Because the other share was $8.48, right? So you're talking $3 more to make twice the amount monthly. So the total for the year on the other one was like $1.44 or something. The total for the year on this one, which is $3 cheaper, is 72 cents. Is you starting to see how the game's played when you're looking at them?
And this calculation is just saying that that's just one share.
That's one share. That's based on one share and
So
being
I
paid
spent
monthly.
$5.49 one time, and I just let it sit there and never do nothing else to it. It accumulates 72 cents a
A
year.
year.
So the ideal
Extended.
is to, of course, to have more shares, so that will
Right.
accumulate to where if we wanted to get into $100. So
Right.
I guess
We,
the main question that's burning into my brain right now that how many shares would we have to buy of this particular one to make that number of $50 or $100? In
well,
that way, it'd be
well,
more.
well. See, what I try and do is figure out how many shares I need so that monthly I'm getting at least one share because I always want to increase my position. You see what I'm saying? So if 549 gets me 6 cents, let me see. And let's go 0.06 times 100.
And two, when you get a chance, I really like to ask.
That's pretty much $6 a month. You see what I'm saying? 100 shares gets you $6 a month. So let's see what 100 shares will cost. 5.49. Looking at $549, which I don't know you ain't. No, you ain't. No, you ain't. No, you ain't. Because what you want to do is be able to purchase, eventually work your way to purchasing enough shares to where every month is covered. You know you got a share coming in, and you're no longer getting paid, and you're like, oh, let me throw $50 towards this, $50 towards that. You ain't got to do that no more. Once you get to that position, like my goal is always make sure I got 100 shares. I like to have 100 shares. That way, if the stock is going up and it's like 549 right now, and you know, if it moves like 2 cents, I got 100 shares. I done made $2 at least that day, you know, depending on how many shares I got. If it moves a whole dollar, that's even better because that's in my favor having 200 shares. So like you look at let's see, what was the number 2? KFJF, Charlie Hotel. Let's see.
So what I'm thinking is that, basically, one particular price equals X amount of dollars for your interest in share per share. So if you buy one share, you get X amount of dollars per year, per quarter, per month. Now the
Right.
question is, you want to be able to have 100 shares at any particular one as you work up. So if you start off buying two, then you see how much you get per year. So for these small dollar amounts that you say $5 and $8, those allow you to get in at, say, your 50, $60, and say you go in there, you get you 8, 9, 10 shares. Now, does it when you turn your drip on and you got those 10 shares, it's going to reinvest each month for you
Yep.
automatically. So if you know you got the $80 in there and you let it in there, you done bought your little 10 shares, and you put your drip on and it's gonna recycle your money. The next time you go for, say, the next quarter or the next next time it starts to give out its dividend, you may be in a position to have either gain more stock based on whatever the dollar amount is for the stock. Say it was at $8.48 when you bought it. Okay, now it then dropped down to $8. So
Right.
now, because you had it in there that X amount of time, you have actually earned more stock, which allow you to get more dividend on the next, say, go round. Now,
Correct.
what happens when, you got that investment, you buy it at the $8 and something, and the next time you go up, say the stock goes up. So now the stock goes up to $9, say, instead of when you bought it at 8 something. So now you're still making more money. Am I right?
Right.
You're still making more money because now or you're losing money because the stock went up.
No, you're actually making money because remember, your multiplier is the amount of shares you have. So you making money. When they pay out your dividend, you may get less shares, but you got to look at all the shares behind those. You know, if you have 99 shares and that month that they do dividends, you get 1.25, one and whatever, you just hit 100 shares. And if the stock went up 2 cents, guess what? It's not 2 cents times that one share you own. It's 2 cents times that other 99 and that one share. So 2 cents times that 100 total shares that you own. So, you know, this is just a monthly dividend stock list. So we'll cover on other episodes. I'll pull some more lists because when you're starting out, people like to see a little return on their money monthly. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's scary when you buy a stock, you're like, man, when's this quarter gonna hit? I want to see my little 25 cent or whatever it is, you know. But so I always tell people as a foundation, find you some good monthly dividend stocks that's gonna pay you monthly. Because if you're seeing your money make money monthly, you get a good warm and fuzzy about stepping into the stock market. You see what I'm saying? Then you take on some other stuff like, man, you know what? I'd like to buy Ford. They pay quarterly. So because they pay quarterly and their chunks are bigger, you're going to end up with some heavy months. You know what I'm saying? At least 4 quarters of the year is going to be heavy. That's going to add to your monthly dividends. Then, you know, you're going to look at some stuff. You're going to be like, man, hold up. I believe in the product. But man, y'all ain't got no dividends. I got to look at your side eye a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like when I picked up a phone company, I looked at Verizon. I use Verizon, love the product, have no issues. But boy, I can't afford them stocks. But I got AT&T. You see what I'm saying? AT&T paid dividends, and they was in my price range. You see what I'm saying? So, like I said earlier, buying stocks is no different than monopoly. You know what I'm saying? You look at it like I bought a lot of shares in Caesar's Palace. Like, never could afford Caesar's Palace, or I never had no casino, no game. COVID hit, boy. Hey, I'm getting me an airline. I got me a cruise line. I got me some casinos because I was trying to build my entertainment sector. You know what I'm saying? Like, people were sleeping on it. Cruise lines was $2, $3. Nobody was going nowhere. $2, $3 a share. I'm talking about payday. Take $50. You know, now you got a cruise line. You know, nobody.
What about the election and everything that's coming up? How do you see the stock market playing with that? I mean, this is the time to get in before people are, you know, who's elected, or maybe, you know, everything's gonna go up right after. The stock market might just shoot up.
Yeah, well, you know, that's another thing to take into consideration. You know, the political climate of things. So what I do right now, honestly, I'm not doing anything with my stocks. They're on cruise control. I'm letting all my dividends reinvest for me, and I'm holding on to my money for a minute just so I can see what the politics is going to do. You know, last time politics, we end up going into COVID. You know what I'm saying? I ain't want to have my money tied up in those stocks. I had to see what the job was going to do, how that was going to shake. And we powered on through COVID. And I was like, hey, now I got this money sitting over here. I'm gonna jump in and make some major plays. You know, like when I seen Ford drop down to $10, $5 a share. Oh, I was loading up. You know, on payday, hey, I'm gonna throw $20 at Ford. On payday, I'm just gonna throw $100 in my brokerage account, and I'm gonna look and see who's slipping. You know, and I see I got 20 Ford here. I got, you know, 85 GM here, the GM kind of high. So I'm going to get one of those. I'm going to get 6 Ford, and I'm trying to slowly bring everybody up to 100 shares. You know what I'm saying? Because I want that 100 shares, so that'd be my multiplier. But it's kind of cool that you can just go out there and water your portfolio on paydays. If you got 100 to throw at it, throw 100 at it. If you got 50 to throw at it, like I just showed you a PSCC, $5 stock, right? If you got 50 to throw at it, because it's not $5 exact, you know, you just under hell, however many shares, but you just increase your position. You know what I'm saying? And that's little throwaway money. People throw away $50. People don't realize that little $5 could have made them a nickel and a penny a month. You know, that $8 could have made them 12 cents a month. You know, just sitting there. You know, and it's crazy. My portfolio in dividends generates more than one of my savings accounts, and that's sad. Like we was always taught that, hey, you know, you save, and you'll be rich one day. That is so not true. You can save, but your money don't make money like stupid money sitting there, you know. And then if you do want your savings to make good money, someone wants to lock your money up for 5 years. We'll call it a CD. You know, we're gonna hold on to your money. You can't spend nothing for 5 years. Nah, play it. That's not working. You know, I need to see what my money's gonna do. I need to actually be able to access it when I need it, and it's gotta return something. So I think the looking into monthly dividend stocks, quarterly dividend stocks, you know, just like look at some of these places right here. Like you're looking at healthcare, right? NWHUF. Let's see. I am real curious what that actually what was that? NWH. Let's see. Where was it at? NWHUF. NWHUF. And we're just going to Google dividend. Okay, so they paid 2 cents a share. Where is, let's see their dividend history. Oh, it ain't nothing pulling up. Nice. Let's see.
So what you're doing right now would be the research behind each company that you want to invest in?
Yep.
See how much they pay back?
Yep. Because I like to see because 2 things I like to know, and this is what the average person likes to know. If you borrow money from somebody or somebody owes you some money, you want to know when they're going to pay it back, right? So I like to call that frequency. The frequency at which my money's going to make money. This is a monthly dividend stock. You see what I'm saying? So I know the frequency is monthly because I researched monthly dividend stocks. If you start looking for quarterly dividend stocks, because all you're doing is seasoning your portfolio. You know, you got your monthly dividend stocks, and then you're like, man, I want to put a little more on that. So then you get you some quarterlies. That way you know that, hey, I'm stacking the deck. I'm going to have 4 heavy quarters of the year that I can look at my stocks and be like, man, I sprinkled that on there, you know. And when you're looking at it, you usually go in, if you got a heavy month and you're like, man, you know what? That $3,500 in residual income that's being rolled over in my stocks, if you say, hey, man, I actually need that $3,500 this month, I might want to take a trip to Winnecuckoo or whatever. You just cut your drip off. And then when you go to look at your account, your brokerage account, it will show your balance. It'll show all your stocks. You'll notice that because you cut your drip off, your shares, your position didn't increase that much. But you'll see a balance. You'll be like, man, where's this $3,500 come from? That's because you cut your drip off. And it was not reinvested. It was paid to you. So that gives you the choice to decide what you want to do with those dividends. So,
Okay.
like you notice, I don't know if y'all noticed, the further we go down the list, you notice the dividend yield goes down.
Yes.
You're talking 8%, all the way down to 6%, and there was way more pages. So when you get to the creme de la creme, top of the list, you're talking 16, you know what I'm saying, 11, and like I said, it was going down, down, down. You got some stocks where, like that PSEC, for me, that was a great deal because you figure, hey, $5 a share, I can spend $25 and grab 5. You know, $25, grab 5. You go what PSEC pays 6 cents a share, so you spend $25 and you damn near getting a quarter a month back. You know, like you can't beat that.
So the further we go down to those 9s and stuff, so it's those shares. In order to buy into the shares, it's less. It decreases the amount that which you have to buy into. So this one's 15, 16, 14, or one of those ones we just went through. That was $5.49. So if we go down here to the I don't know, the 960, then it's only what, like $2 a share or something, or
let me see.
It decreases.
SBR.
And I'm saying that so it's 960 versus this. So it lets you buy into the shares at any level of finance that you have.
Right. Yep. So let me see. I'm looking at SBR.
Or could they be where they pay actually the stock is actually more, but they pay less out?
Well, that's why I always tell people to research. So that SBR that we looked at, right? So SBR, Sabin Royalty Trust, I have no clue what they do. Never researched them. That stock is $63.80, but they have a dividend. Their dividend yield is lower, but they pay almost almost 38 cents a month, and they was paying, looks like their dividends fluctuating. They was paying 53, almost 60 cents a month. So $63 was making you 37 cents a month. And one share pays $4.58 a month. So that's why you have to look into the stock. Because sometimes the dividend yield will be lower, stock price is higher. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, because 63.88 cents per share.
Yeah.
I mean, well, you are getting a bigger return versus saying 5 and the 12 cents.
Right. But you see your total annual return is pretty much $4.55 on $63.
Yeah, if you just bought that one time.
Right. So that's why I was saying you gradually want to build, you know what I'm saying? For me, the whole purpose is generating any type of income. Like as my partner would say, just start. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's check out this SCM. Never heard of them. SCM, 11.36%.
$50 a share, probably.
Nope, $14.08 a share. And let's look at the dividend history. Okay, they pay 13 cents a month. 13 cents a month, $14.08.
Okay. So I don't know. The higher percentages was better though. It seemed like really kind of.
Hey, they was more in my price range. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not getting 13 cents a month. Like, think about it. So you're getting 13 cents a month here, right? And that's for $14.08. So $14.08, you're getting 13 cents, right? So 14.8. Now,
you would have to accumulate over a year's amount to reinvest that money.
Oh yeah, because what we're doing, we are growing. We're in the growing stage. So think about it. We said $14 and some change, right? For 13 cents. So $14 and some change, almost $15, correct? Yes. So if you took your $15, you can make almost 18 cents over here. Do you see how you kind of make your choices? Like, hey, you both paying a month. You gonna give me 13 cents for $15. I could spend 11 and get 12, and I'll take that penny loss monthly.
And you would have more shares in the company automatically.
There you go. Hey, boy, you caught on like George of the Jungle right there. Look out for that tree.
Man. You're right, because that's how it works. That's exactly how it works.
Yeah. Could you give us a quick rundown? I mean, I know we're seeing it right here, but what are these steps that we're doing? What is this called other than research? Is it called something in the financial world or in the stock world?
Well, everybody researches anything they're going to invest in. Like think about it. Your official term, but it's more or less just research, R&D, looking into your stock and seeing how they perform. Just because you have a lot of people, you're not going to go out and buy a Toyota if you know nothing about a Toyota. But if someone tells you, hey man, the Camry is the best car of the year, blah, 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 you're going to research that Camry before you pull the trigger and sign up for 6 to 8 years of your life making payments, so that's kind of what I do with stocks. Like I pull a list because you go out and you Google 2024 monthly dividend stocks, and depending on what source you grab it from, everybody's got their opinion of the best stocks. So what I like to do, I just grab everybody's list, compile everybody's list. I go through it and I break the list down. The first thing I do is go through the list and I see the dividend yields. They got it in order by the yield. But the one thing they don't tell you when you're looking at these lists is what the current price is, because the only time the stock price stops is on Friday after the close of business, So you go in and you create your snapshot. You go in, you got the stocks already sorted by dividend yield. The thing for me that I like to do, because I'm not a rich man, I go in, I make me another column of current price. Make me a column of current price. After I make that, I sort them again. Then I look at what the current price is and what the total, what the annual payout is. Like that one we looked at where the annual payout was like $4.50 was it's a $63 stock. I'll make some smaller plays because that's $63. I could have bought me 20 at least, 60 something dollars, $5 share. Hey, let me at least get 10 of these versus one of these, and I'll get my way up there. That's the one thing that I look at. Like you have to be strategic and do what you have to be strategic and do what your money will do. Like you tell someone, hey man, jump off the cliff and get this $60 stock, you make 35 cents a month. Most people looking at you like you're crazy. But the average person, they'll spend $5-10 just to get their feet wet, and then they'll call you end of the month and be like, hey man, that $10 that I threw at such and such, man, it made me 12 cents. So that's the biggest thing, man. We just want to get to a point to where we at least get involved in the stock market. You know what I'm saying? We at least become consumers with consumption benefits because we own shares. The craziest thing that's going to bug you out is like when they have the board member meeting and you get that letter to your house and you're like, oh man, from Haynes such and such. Oh, and you're reading about like who's running for the new CEO of the company and this. You actually get to vote on that. Your vote counts. you actually get to listen to that call. Like if you have time off, they send you a link as a share owner. Like you might have Nikes on your feet and ain't never sat in one of the calls where they're talking and they're discussing, hey, we made this quarter, we did this. It's actually a pretty cool experience. It's a real cool experience to be able to be on those calls and hear some of the decision making and be like, man, we voted for this dude based on such and such. Like people don't realize that, you know, we drive these cars, we wear this clothes and this, and we don't even realize that for $5, $60, $10, we could actually be a shareholder. You know, we run around and like everybody's dream is start the business. Man, that's like trying to make tires standing in front of Discount Tire. You know what I'm saying? Just turn around. Wall Street is like, think about it. We could all have our own personal businesses, right? So if we all have our own personal businesses, but we got our hands in 200-300 other businesses, who's really winning? The man that's struggling to start one, or the man that's got one and got his hands in 200-300 other businesses? You know, he's a shareholder in Nike, a shareholder in Chevy, a shareholder in you see what I'm saying? You really don't have to stress out as much about your business making a gang of money. As long as these other businesses doing good, hey, we gonna be all right. You know, so that's kind of what you have to think about. Like how hard do you want to work, and on top of how hard do you want to work, like man, it's just easy when
this is the strategy.
Right.
This is the strategy we're doing right now. Well, let me see. The only question I would have from what you was doing so far is okay. So when the money is accumulating on a monthly basis, or put it into the drip, is there any time limit from taking it out, or when you take it out as it accumulates? Once now, okay, we got 100 shares in, we got 200 shares in. It's accumulating. We're not talking about cents. We're talking about I would imagine some people have been doing this for years, and you know they're getting $100 a month. You know what I mean? But they're doing it in all these different things. At any point in time, we're able to say, you know, cut off the drip, and do you collect all that money that's been accumulated, or is it based on you just grab a little bit what you need and it still continues to accumulate? You know what I mean? Like you can drain that account, that account, and then let it start from zero again.
Yeah, you could do that. So here's the thing. So the reason I'm the type of person, if I'm gonna cut my drip off, I'm gonna cut it off for the month, because I may have Ford, and Ford may pay their monthly dividend on the 3rd. You see what I'm saying? I may have Hanes, and Hanes, they're not going to do theirs to the 12th. I might have Converse, they're going to do theirs on the 6th. So everybody's got these dates set up because only so many stocks operate and do transactions on so many days. So it's not like a government assistance where you're getting the 1st and 15th. There's various days throughout the month that you'll have deposits coming in, you know. So what I usually tell people, cut the drip off for the month. The previous month, last trading day of the previous month, cut your drip off and leave it off the entire month. Don't need money that month. Need money the following month. So you're pulling a month ahead. You see what I'm saying? That's why I was saying it's all in how you build it. If you have your monthly dividend, you have your quarterly dividend, and you have some biannual dividends, and then I have some growth stocks that don't pay me anything, but I have shares. You know, it's almost like all the fanboys that have Tesla and Amazon and stuff. They don't pay no dividends. They're not even being paid for having them stocks. Those are juggle stocks. You know, You bought in at 150, the price goes up to $200 a share. You take some money out to get your money. You decrease your position to get your money out. The thing I like about dividend stocks, the only way I decrease my position is if I sell some stocks. I can cut the drip off and draw income from the stocks. I can just, when you get to a happy point that, hey, my stocks have grown, this particular share has grown enough to where it's making me $1,000 a month, and it's a consistent $1,000 a month, cut the drip off. If you don't want no more shares of that stock, cut the drip off and let it just generate a paycheck for you monthly.
Right. Okay. And the way to look at this, because you had said it before, and I'm just going to reiterate, is to look at this as you're recycling. You're recycling your money. Because like even now, I got bags of cans and bottles that we recycle. So I'm looking at this, and I'm looking at it in the sense of recycling, because we're going to go turn in and donate all these damn bottles and stuff, but we're only going to get $30-$40 back. But it's probably over $100, worth that we actually spent to accumulate these bags. So that's the way to look at it, right?
Kind of, sort of, because that recycling, that's a one-time transaction. This is more or less residual. And residual is just money you ain't gotta. It's just money that's generated that you ain't have to work for. You know what I'm saying? It's your money making money. So if those cans, if you could drop them off at the recycler, and that dude's like, hey, you just gave me 1,000 cans last month. Every month I'm gonna pay you just because you gave me 1,000 cans. This month you only brought in 2 cans, but I'm gonna pay you for the previous 1,000 cans you brought me plus these 2. Like, the stock market is like when you hold a position, as long as you don't decrease your position or sell your shares with a dividend stock, your money's gonna keep coming. It's just gonna keep coming. That's the difference between them cans and buying dividend stocks. Dividend stocks, your money's gonna hit. You're able to look, you can Google, and it's all in the verbiage you use. Like when I'm looking for something, like I'm like, boom, I want to know dividend history. I want to see if they paid. I just want to see if they paid every month. Then I want to comb and see if there was any bonuses. Like I'll have to look and show you Ford's dividend history, because I actually made money. Let me see if I can pull this up. So I actually made money. I bought Ford, and I ended up. I bought Ford, and as soon as I bought Ford, which I was happy about, they paid, because back when I bought it, which was during COVID, so I bought it during COVID, and right around 22, I believe. So Ford was only paying 10 cents a share. They had reduced their they reduced their dividend. So I got in because the price had fell. So the dividend had dropped to 10 cents a share. And I was like, hey, you know what? It's cool. And then they did a bonus. So I want to say that was March of this year. Yep. Okay. So right here, where it shows 2/15, 2024, and you got this cash amount of 15 cents a share. So for all my shares, I made 15 cents a share, right? But because I was a shareholder, I had another transaction, and they gave a bonus to shareholders. So they did an additional 18 cents for every share you had. So I got one purchase here for 15 cents a share times the amount of shares I had. And then when they gave this bonus, I was like, oh yeah, thank you. But I started noticing if you go back to 23, guess what? They did a bonus there too. They did one on the 10th. I got both of these. I was happy about those. So when I started looking, I was like, okay, so there's little bonuses that they do for owning, like January 17. They did one here where it was 15 cents a share, which looks like that was their regular dividend. And then they gave a bonus. Hey, we'll throw you a nickel because the stocks did good. You look right here, they did 15 cents a share because that's the standard dividend. And they threw a bonus, an additional 13 cents a share. So those are little things that I look for. And I kind of find a frequency at which those things happen. Like that was January of 18. That was January of 17. And as you go further along, it looks like they moved and started doing things in February. Because you got 210 right here where they gave 15 cents and then 65 cents a share. And then you look and they're trending again, 15 and 18. So Ford, they pay their dividends quarterly. Excuse me, I don't mind them paying quarterly. That's just, that lets me know when I'm going to have those heavy payments based on them paying the way they do. So knowing that they do quarterly, and I know based on following their dividend history trending, back in the day, they used to do their bonuses in January. Now they do them in February. So that's a little recovery time after Christmas. You see what I'm saying? You got Christmas and all that, end of the year, New Year's and all that. And you're like, man, hey, money's a little tight. Then Ford's like, hey, here you go, sprinkle me. I'm not only going to pay you your dividends, but we do a bonus. Those are additional things to research when you're looking at companies. Like, hey, do they do an ownership bonus for having said stock? You know, Ford, I don't own any of their products. I've been married almost 26 years and never owned a Ford in my life. But I've drove several for work vehicles. They get me to the money, so I would invest in them,
I mean, all the information that you've been putting out, man, has been so good for all of us to gather in this first part one of the series. I also like to figure out just a couple questions I have is if you can just lay out how the beginner gets into the stock market. You were saying something about Roku. What's the name of the
Robinhood?
Robinhood. Talk a little bit about what Robinhood is and getting into that as a beginner, what it allows you to do, being a beginner stock investor, and then also talk a little bit about how you can simplify why it's important for our youth and for us as the Black community to try to generate generational wealth through this process. And then that would be something that I like to be able to close on.
I feel like, man, Robinhood's a great platform. The way I got into Robinhood, a buddy sent me their link. It's like, bro, sign up. I'm like, why? It's like, sign up. If you sign up, you get a free stock, I get a free stock. So I was like, okay. Man, I signed up, I got a free stock. I was like, oh man, I got a share in such and such. Then I was like, oh, this is kind of easy. Before I even put any money into it, I found share my link. I went through my contacts and started sharing my links. And everybody's like, man, bro, what is this? I was like, man, we're going to build a portfolio. So I started sharing my link. And next thing you know, I got like 60 different stocks where all my friends signed up for Robinhood. And then I started actually looking around Robinhood and I started purchasing shares. And then I started talking to people and I started looking into, oh, okay, so you have these things, dividends. Okay. So, dividends have frequencies at which they pay, monthly, quarterly. I was like, oh, this is crazy. So then I started looking into it more and just talking to buddies that were actually like getting to it. like getting money from the dividends and reinvesting. And man, I've met so many people with cruise control portfolios. I'm like, man, this is crazy. Like I truly understand how you sit there, and if you have children, you know, you start your portfolio, and your ownership is dated back to when you bought Coca-Cola or when you bought Aunt Jemima. And when you pass, and if you leave you divide or leave your portfolio to your children, think about the residual income that they have. And they sit back and they got these legacy shares. You know, they're 20 something years old or 30 something years old, and they're like, oh, I've owned shares in Coca-Cola since 1901. How? Because somebody's daddy worked for Coca-Cola way back when Hector was a pup and owned shares and created generational wealth by passing these shares on and passing these shares on and passing these shares on, you know. And then you already know what to buy because great granddaddy left you 1,000 or 2,000 shares. And now you're a trust fund, baby. As long as you don't sell your shares and reduce your position, you already know for the life of that stock, you're generating this income, this revenue, you know. And that's things that we as minority people, we got to look into that. We got to get on board, man. We got to get on board. We got to have some avenues of revenue and stop thinking that, you know, we got to chase a ball, throw a ball, ram our body against something, blow our back out. Like we can do it simply. We just got to come together and get it together.
You know, I think you said a lot there, man, and we really appreciate you coming on and making this a educational experience and uplifting experience for all of us out there that are trying to get into stock, including Razak and I, who, slowly but surely, we'll take some of them $2 stocks and $5 stocks.
There you go.
Take out a little money and drip it in there, and then try to do it every month. You know what I
mean? Hey, that's it. Turn that 20 to plenty.
Yeah, turn that 20 to plenty. I'm trying to get to 100.
That's it. Yeah. So I sent y'all the link when you sign up, because I sent y'all my link. So when y'all sign up, y'all get a share and I get a share. But when you sign up, before you even transfer a penny into it, they give you the option. It's going to be 3 little scratch offs, and you got to scratch whichever one. And you got a share of whatever, Microsoft, Amazon, yada, yada. That's your free share. But
man,
what you can do.
Like
yeah. But what you do, it's going to have a link that you can share. And you share your link with your contacts. And before you even put $1 in the account, every one of your contacts that signs up and tunes into the show, y'all all get a free share. Now, what to do with it and what to buy from there when you start putting your money in and you're like, hey, you know what? I'm going to put $20 in Robinhood. Where do I go from here? You know, you take your 20, you invest 20, get you 4 shares of PSEC. You know, your little $20 is making you 24 cents a month because each share paying you 6 cents a month. Now you see your dividend coming. You get to looking around Robinhood and you're like, oh, settings, boom, drip. Dividend, and it's going to say dividend reinvestment program, and then drip off to the side. And you're going to be like, oh, this is what he was talking about. Okay, you know what? Let me cut that on, because a lot of times you'll go month for month. You're like, man, all I'm seeing is this 24 cent hit. This 24 cent hit. You got to cut that drip. So that 24 cent, it might buy you a 16th, a gram of crackhead crumble of a share. But it's putting a dent in it, and your little 4 shares, it'll be like 4.0066. You know what I'm saying? You think you're trying to call Prince and Morris Day? It'd be like 4.779311.
You know what, man? I really appreciate it. But one of the other things that these people just hit on that, you know, about investing, and when people, you know, come to the KF&JF podcast, you're investing in us, and you're investing in, you know, people like you come on and give this information out. So, you know, we always talk about having everybody go to the joybeloved.com and making those investments there that help us to do this. And that's kind of part of the plan too. One day we'll be able to be up there on the stock market, and you'll be able to invest in that too. So we hope that is the dream and that is the day to come. But for today, man, this has been great. This has been a great opportunity for all of us, and I proud of you, man, because we need more people like you to come on and talk real, honest, and authentic stuff with us, so that we can get our listeners some real good information. And I appreciate that. Thank you so much,
man. I appreciate y'all for having me. That's the biggest thing, man. If we could all get together, man, just quit certain things, general knowledge. Man, they say the game is to be sold, not told. But man, if we quit charging for certain things, it don't hurt me one bit to explain something to you. You know what I'm saying? It's your money. I know what my 20 gonna do, but it hurts me none to know that you two may decide to take $20, invest in PSEC, may look into PSEC. Hell, we may get off this podcast and you're like, man, let me Google monthly dividend stocks and get you a list. You may Google annual, you may Google quarterly dividend stocks and make you a list. And guess what? As you're purchasing them stocks and you're looking at the dividend history, you are building a paycheck. That's what you're doing, building a paycheck. That's what I think about when I'm looking at stocks and I'm looking at what my dividends are paying monthly. I'm like, man, how do I want to give myself a raise? I'd like to raise my income monthly, because I'm 47 and I'm trying to look as I get older. And when I get older and I decide to cut that drip off and just let them dollars come on home. You know what I'm saying? That's the big play right there. When you decide to let them dollars come on home, because you build a paycheck for the future. Do you think about it? How many people are like, oh, I can't pay $38 a month for my insulin? Cut your drip off. You see what I'm saying? You cut your drip off for one. If you know that Tylenol pays you $52 a month, you got enough shares of Tylenol, cut it off. Take that $52 a month, turn that $52 a month into insulin. You see? Don't worry about where the 38 coming from.
That's such a direct and easy way for people to understand. And I think that is what we're looking to be able to, the information we're looking to get out there, something easy for people to understand and be able to accomplish in their life. So thanks, Soto, for everything you're doing, brother. Thank you.
Hey, no problem. Shoot.
All right, brother. Have a good day, man.
All right. We'll see y'all later.
All right, man.
All right. Bye-bye.